Hello everyone! Today I would like to share my own experience taking the TOEFL test and getting my desired score as well. I taken 3 TOEFL tests, but don't worry. The first one I wanted to attend a university. However, I got my desired score. However, after that, I don't know why, I just decided not to attend the university. This year or last year, I decided to do my university. I took my test in January. It was the first one. And I have to admit that I am very stressed when it comes to, challenges and appointments. I was preparing for it, like, everything was normal. And the thing is, I chose the testing center because I thought it would be better for me to concentrate because you are having your phone. So I just decided to took this in the center. So everything was like, I would say, normal. Preparing for my writing section, I was preparing for my listening section. However, when it came to like speaking, I somehow, I watched all those videos like about the templates and how you should say, those words. And I think everybody knows these kinds of videos where they claims that with those, 10 words, you will get 30 out of 30. It might be true. However, what I didn't do is that I somehow forgot to practice some questions and try out those templates. And also when it came to, for example, practice some kind of like, reading, I like to read like English books and stuff, but I know it's a little bit different on the test itself. And every single time I was reading the article and you need to decide which of those answers you would like to choose, I just selected, totally random, like I didn't really care. And every single time it was wrong, I was like, yeah, I knew it would be wrong. That was also a bad idea. So it was the day of my test. The morning was awful. I felt sick and I had to travel, I think, half an hour to get to the place. And everything went smooth, I would say. However, when it came to the test, I think there were 5 other people, maybe. So, I sat down and we started the test. And I started to feel, under the pressure. I feel under the pressure even now, by the way. And what happened is that I was doing the reading. I think I had to read something about Greeks. Yeah, there was something about Greeks. I don't really remember it clearly, sorry. And the second one was something about salmons and about, it was something about salmons and about food and about some kind of like, illnesses. And at this point I was so stressed because I couldn't really manage my time properly. I think at the end of this part, I think I couldn't really finish the last 3 questions. So after this part, I felt devastated. However, I was like, yeah, maybe I can do it because, the first part was quite easy because I like history, so it was quite alright. However, when I heard about, biology and stuff, that is not my cup of tea. Then the listening part was, alright, like nothing bad happened. Then there was speaking. You have 4 different questions you are asked, and The first one is, I'm not really sure how is it called, like familiar topic or something. And this one, I think I got something about what do I think about cars polluting the environment. And you had like 45 seconds to answer this question. And I felt so stressed because I didn't really prepare for this part of the test. So I kept repeating the same thing over and over again. Then there was the second part, which was the announcement. And I think I couldn't really finish this or my answer because I ran out of time. So I felt devastated. However, there was another text going on because it was the third one. I'm not really sure what was it about. I think it was something about natural walls, which are created to protect, like, the environment. I think I was able to finish this question. And then there was the fourth one. I think it was something about distractions, and I also couldn't finish this one because I was so stressed and I wanted to use all those templates I've heard about because I didn't really prepare for speaking or for reading, and it was all wrong. Then after this part I felt totally devastated. However, I wasn't crying at all. And still, somehow, I was still having my hopes. I was still like, yeah, it won't be that bad. And then there was writing. It was the last part. I think it wasn't that bad. And, you have two parts. The first part is, the article you are about to read. And then you have the listening part. And then every single time, those two people, like the article or in the article and in the reading, they disagree with each other and you need to write about it. I think I did a great job. I mean, it wasn't the best thing ever. However, I think I did a pretty decent job. And then the second one was like you needed to add your opinion into some kind of like university discussion in like chat room or something. This was quite funny because I remember that the question was something like, if I agree that teachers should get the same salary as doctors and lawyers, and you were about to write about it, or you have to write about it. I know you have like 10 minutes to finish this part and you need to write at least 100 words. And I know for some people it might be stressful or they might feel under the pressure. However, for me, I mean, I had a lot of time, but still I was missing maybe like 2 sentences. So at some point I just wrote something in there. When I finished my test, I put my jacket on and I exited the building. I started crying and I felt so bad that this won't be good. Then I waited, I think, a week for the results. It was Friday night and I received my results. And yeah, I failed. I started crying. It was all wrong. And do you know what was the funniest thing about it? The first test I took 4 years ago, after that test, I lived abroad where I had to speak English and stuff. And after, all those years of, speaking English, reading English, listening to English, writing in English, I got the same results as I received on this test. I couldn't believe it. I want to do it again because I didn't really meet the requirement score. So I took the second test, or third one, but I took the second test a month after the results. And I know that some people may not know about it, but when I was paying for my TOEFL test for the first time, and the second time I paid around, I think, $250. However, when I paid for the third one, there was tax included, so I had to pay roughly like $300. Like, excuse me? Like, it is already so expensive, especially when you are buying that book as well. So it's a huge amount of money you need to spend on it. So I was preparing for a third test, or the second one, and it was more focused this time on reading. I read so many articles about everything. I listened a lot as well. I spoke a lot during that month, and very helpful YouTube channel. I will put it here or here, not sure. And it's a great way of practicing. There is time limit included, as well as it will give you answers to those specific questions, which is also great because you can practice. However, they don't really use templates, if I'm correct. And then the writing part, also practice it more, especially the approach of those questions, or the question in the second part. So after this, it was the day of my test. It was the same place, and I have to admit that I felt more confident. I think it was because I tried harder to prepare for it, and as well as I knew how the test looked like. So I had to bring my ID. I also have to read some kind of like article, and then I was sent to undress my jacket and put my bag away and turn off the phone and stuff, like, those basics. And then I had to wait with like other people, and then we sat down and started the test. And what happened to me, I don't know how, I don't know why, I don't know if the universe did it to me, or it was some kind of like revenge, or what was going on. But while I was doing the reading, I think it was the first question, the system, TOEFL system, it turned off out of nowhere. So I stayed in the place asking so many questions. So I had to switch the computer. Of course, I had to wait a few minutes because I took my ID away, and I had to wait. Then they brought it back, and then I started doing my test, or I continued where I stopped. And I was doing the reading. I was like quite feeling it, even though the article was awful. The article was about stones and how do they explode. This was the topic. A lot of chemicals, a lot of water, a lot of biology. At this point, I felt like the universe hates me. However, I still, I was fighting with my feelings, and I was still hoping that it won't be that bad. So I was still reading. The computer shut it down again. I was about to explode like those stones in the article, but I couldn't. So I just waited again. So again, I had to switch the computers again. Long story short, I had to switch it again. So as a result, I had to switch 4 times. I was the last one who started the test itself, because I know when the computer shut it down and they somehow rebooted it, or I continued to test, but still it interrupted my feelings, my consciousness. I felt disorientated in some ways because every single time they opened the reading again, I had to read the question again. I had to read the article again. Then there was listening part. And at this point, listening wasn't that bad because, you are just listening to something and you are taking notes and stuff. However, when you are picking up the place where you want to take your test, please pray to God or to universe or whatever you believe in to have great headphones, because the test center where I took the test, the quality of the headphones, it was so bad. They were so big, but still I could hear everything. So while I was listening to the listening part, I was also listening to all those test takers as well, because they already did their listening part and they were doing the speaking part. So I was quite anxious about it, but in the end of the day, I was like, yeah, I guess this is what it is. So, I was just doing this all the time. And at some point, I did even this and I was writing something. It was pretty hard. Then, when was my speaking, it was better because I knew how to approach those questions. And I knew it's better to speak about the topic rather than using all those templates, which are quite pointless when you can't really speak about the topic you just heard about or you just, read about. So I think I did a great job. However, I felt quite anxious because while I was speaking, everybody was writing. So I was the interruption and distraction for them. The same way they were to me when I was doing my listening part. And you can just imagine that it was a big room with 6 test takers plus 2 people which somehow had to, help us with something. And everybody was writing. It was like very quiet in there. And I was speaking. Yeah. So, and the funniest part, or another funny part, is that when I finished my speaking and I started writing the first part, I had something about Stonehenge, like about the sightseeing. It was quite interesting. However, when I was finishing writing the article, everybody started leaving because they finished everything. So it was another distraction for me. Even though I know they were quiet, like nobody was speaking, nobody was coughing, like it was very quiet. However, the feeling that everybody around you are leaving, but you have to stay in there and finish your assignment, it felt pretty bad. However, I thought I did a great job as well. And then when I was finally alone in the room, so when I was finally alone in the room with some kind of like staff member, I was doing my second part and I had a question about what is my opinion or if I agree that students, in order to graduate, like they should do some kind of like volunteering work. And of course, if they did not do the volunteering work, they won't graduate. This was quite easy and I exactly knew how to approach this question. So when I finished it, I stayed in place, I put my headphones down and I felt relieved. I felt so good in my life. I mean, I've never felt this good in my life. So I put the headphones back. I stand up and I left the room. You know, I took my jacket, I took my bag, and I went home. No, wait. I went to a restaurant and I ate some great food. And after, it wasn't even 7 days. I think it was like 5.5. And I received my results. And I passed the minimum requirement for my university. And I felt so great. Even though I had to face some difficulties, I felt pretty great. So this was my TOEFL experience. So please keep in mind that you should be prepared. You should always bring your ID, because if you don't have your ID, you can't take the test. As well as, you know, you should bring some kind of like coat in the room if you feel cold. And you should practice speaking, reading, listening, and writing, just in case. So good luck, and I hope you will get to the university you want to attend in the future. So thank you so much. If you liked this video, you can leave like, or you can subscribe to my channel. And yeah, I guess that's all. Bye.